Welcome to this JavaScript ES6 Plus Core Concept Study Guide, Part 4 of 4 from TestMole.com, where employers can test candidates and teams using pre-built or custom assessments. We also create free tests and guides like this. Please help us by liking this video. Subscribe for more study guides and free tests. And turn on notifications. Okay, let's begin. Which of the following are valid async/await related patterns? Select all that apply. JavaScript's async/await syntax simplifies working with promises. For await, used to iterate over asynchronous iterables, like streams or arrays of promises, pausing execution until each promise resolves. Await promise.all, a common pattern to run multiple asynchronous operations concurrently and wait for all of them to complete. Await on primitives. You can await any value. If it is not a promise, JavaScript automatically wraps it in a resolved promise. This is valid in async functions and at the top level of modern modules. Note that async is a function modifier, not a class constructor modifier. Constructors must be synchronous because they must return an instance object immediately. Possible answers are A for await, const x of iterable. B, await promise.all. C, const x equals await 5, top level or in async func. D, async constructor. The answer is A, B, and C. The first three options are standard, valid patterns for handling asynchronous flow. Async constructor is invalid because constructors must return an instance synchronously, and making them async would force them to return a promise instead. What happens when a function is called in JavaScript? The call stack is a LIFO, last in, first out, data structure that tracks the execution context of your code. When a function is invoked, the engine creates a stack frame containing the function's local variables and parameters, then pushes it onto the stack. When the function returns, its frame is popped off. This mechanism is central to how JavaScript manages function calls and recursion. Choose between A, it is added to the callback queue. B, a new frame is pushed onto the call stack. C, it is moved to the heap. D, it is executed by the browser's UI thread directly. The answer is B. A new frame is pushed onto the call stack to track the function's execution context. The callback queue is for asynchronous tasks, the heap is for memory allocation, and the UI thread is a broader concept that the stack operates within. Which global function checks if a value is not a number but also performs type coercion? JavaScript provides two ways to check for non-numeric values. Is none global? This function first attempts to convert the input to a number, type coercion, and then checks if the result is nan. For example, is none hello is true because hello becomes nan. Number.is none ES6. This is a more robust, strict check that does not perform type coercion. It only returns true if the value is exactly the number nan. Similarly, is finite performs coercion, while number.is finite does not. Possible answers are A, number.is none. B, is none. C, is finite. D, number.is finite. The answer is B. The global is none function is unique among these for performing type coercion before checking the value. The number prefixed methods are strict and do not coerce types. What is the primary advantage of weak map over map? A weak map is a specialized collection where keys must be objects or non-registered symbols. Its defining feature is that it holds weak references to its keys. If no other references to an object exist, the garbage collector can reclaim the memory used by that object, even if it is still a key in the weak map. This prevents memory leaks in scenarios like caching or attaching metadata to DOM elements. Let's review the options. A, it can use strings as keys. B, It allows its keys, objects, to be garbage collected if there are no other references to them. C. It is enumerable. D. It has a .size property. The answer is B. Weak Map's primary purpose is memory management via weak references. It is not enumerable and lacks a .size property precisely because the collection size can change unpredictably as the garbage collector runs. How do you import a module just for its side effects, e.g., polyfills, without importing any specific members? In ES modules, you can execute a file's code without importing specific exports. This is frequently used for side effect-only modules such as global polyfills, e.g., core.js, global CSS or style injections, initializing global event listeners. By using the import path syntax, the module is evaluated exactly once when first imported, executing any top-level code inside it. Possible answers are A. Import * from ./setup.js. B. Import ./setup.js. C. Import from ./setup.js. D. Use ./setup.js. The answer is B. The syntax import ./setup.js is the standard way to trigger module evaluation for side effects. The other options are either syntax errors or incorrect attempts to destructure non-existent exports. How do you create a custom error class in JS? In JavaScript, the error object is the base class for all exceptions. To create a custom error that behaves like a native one, maintaining the stack trace and being identifiable via instancef, you should extend the built-in error class. Extending error ensures that your custom class inherits essential properties like message, name, and stack. While you can manually call the error constructor in older syntax, modern ES6 classes provide a cleaner, more readable way to implement custom error handling. The options are A. Class mirror. B. Class mirror extends error. C. Function mirror error.call, this. D. New error, mirror. The answer is B. Extending error is the standard approach to inherit native error behavior. Simply defining a class without inheritance lacks the necessary error metadata, while using new error creates an instance rather than a class definition. Which static method returns the current timestamp in milliseconds? The date object in JavaScript provides several ways to handle time. Date.now is a static method that returns the number of milliseconds elapsed since the Unix epoch, January 1, 1970, 0:00 Universal Time Coordinated. Using date.now is more performant than newDate.getTime because it does not require the overhead of creating a new date object instance. Note that date.today and date.current are not valid methods in the standard JavaScript date API. Here are the options. A. newDate.getTime. B. date.now. C. date.today. D. date.current. The answer is B. Date.now is the direct, static method for the current timestamp. NewDate.getTime also works but is less efficient, and the other options are not part of the JavaScript language. What is the outcome of promise.race P1 P2? The promise.race method is a concurrency tool that accepts an iterable of promises and returns a single promise. This returned promise settles, either fulfills or rejects, as soon as the first promise in the iterable settles. Think of it as a race where only the winner matters. If the first promise to finish resolves, the result is the resolved value. If it rejects, the result is the rejection reason. It ignores all subsequent promises that finish later. Let's review the options. A. It waits for all promises to settle. B. It settles as soon as the first promise, P1 or P2, settles, either resolved or rejected. C. It returns the result of the slowest promise. D. It returns an array of all results. The answer is B. Promise.race is designed specifically to mirror the behavior of the first settling promise. Other options describe different concurrency patterns, such as promise.all, waiting for all, or promise.allSettled. Where is top-level await allowed? Top-level await allows you to use the await keyword at the top level of a module, outside of any async function. This is a feature of the ES module's ESM specification. Because top-level await can block the execution of a module graph, it is restricted to environments that support asynchronous module loading, specifically ES modules. It is not available in traditional CommonJS files or standard synchronous scripts. Let's review the options. A. In any JavaScript file. B. Only inside async functions. C. In ES modules.mjs or script type equals module. D. In CommonJS files node.js. The answer is C. Top-level await is an ESM-specific feature. It is not supported in CommonJS, and while async functions allow await anywhere, they are not the only place it can be used thanks to this module-level capability. Which prefix is used to declare a private class field in ES 2022? To enforce true encapsulation in JavaScript classes, ES 2022 introduced private class fields. These fields are inaccessible from outside the class body, ensuring that internal state remains protected. Syntax: prefix the field name with the hash symbol, hashtag symbol. Enforcement: the JavaScript engine throws a syntax error if you attempt to access a hashtag field from outside the class. Historically, developers used a single underscore as a naming convention to indicate a field was private, but this was merely a suggestion and did not prevent external access. The options are A. Underscore, B. Hashtag, C. Private, D. $. The answer is B. The hashtag prefix is the official syntax for hard private class fields. The underscore is just a naming convention, and private is not a keyword in JavaScript. Does object.assign perform a deep copy or a shallow copy? In JavaScript, object.assign copies all enumerable own properties from one or more source objects to a target object. It is important to note that this method performs a shallow copy. Shallow copy: only the top-level properties are copied. If a property value is an object or an array, only the reference to that object is copied, not the object itself. Changes to nested objects in the copy will reflect in the original. Deep copy: a complete recursive copy where nested objects are cloned as new instances, ensuring the original and the copy are entirely independent. The options are A. Deep copy, B. Shallow copy. The answer is B. It is a shallow copy because it only copies property values. If a value is a reference to an object, it copies that reference rather than creating a new object instance. Which regex flag allows for global searching, finding all matches? Regular expressions in JavaScript use flags to modify search behavior. The G flag stands for global search. Flag description: G global search, find all matches rather than stopping after the first. I case-insensitive search. M multiline search, caret and dollar match the start/end of each line. S.all mode, the character matches new line characters. Possible answers are A. I, B. G, C. M, D. S. The answer is B. The G flag is the standard identifier for global searching. Other flags like I, M, and S control case, line boundaries, and new line handling, respectively. The .next method of an iterator returns an object with which two properties? The iterator protocol allows objects to define their iteration behavior. When you call the .next method on an iterator, it returns an object containing two specific properties. Value, the current element being yielded by the iterator. Done, a Boolean indicating whether the iterator has reached the end of the sequence, true if finished, false otherwise. Possible answers are A. Index total. B. Value done. C. Data status. D. Next last. The answer is B. The value and done properties are the standard return structure for the iterator protocol, allowing loops like for, of to know exactly what data to process and when to stop. Which web API is used to easily work with query strings in a URL? The URL search params interface provides utility methods to work with the query string of a URL. Instead of manually splitting strings by and or equals, this API allows you to append or set parameters, get or get all values by key, has to check for existence, to string to easily reconstruct the query string. Let's review the options. A. JSON.parse. B. URL search params. C. Query parser. D. String.split. The answer is B. URL search params is the built-in web API designed specifically for parsing and manipulating URL query parameters, making it far more robust than manual string splitting or parsing. Which of these are true about function scopes? Select all that apply. JavaScript scope determines the accessibility of variables. Key principles include function scope. Every function creates its own scope, meaning variables defined inside are not visible outside. Lexical scoping. Closure inner functions have access to the variables defined in their outer, parent, scope, but the reverse is not true. Global scope. Variables declared outside of any function are accessible from anywhere in the code. Here are the options. A. Inner functions can access outer function variables. B. Outer functions can access inner function variables. C. Functions create a new scope. D. Global variables are accessible everywhere. The answer is A, C, and D. Outer functions cannot access inner function variables because scope is hierarchical and flows inward. The other options correctly describe the fundamental rules of lexical and global scoping. What is the name of the global object in a Node.js environment? In JavaScript, the global scope behaves differently depending on the environment. While browser-based JavaScript uses window to represent the global scope, Node.js provides a specific object named global to store variables and functions that should be accessible everywhere in your application. Think of the global object as the top-level container for your code. Anything attached to it is available globally without needing to import or require specific modules. Environment global object. Browser window. Node.js global. Modern JS, universal, global this. Choose between A. Window. B. Global. C. Self. D. Root. The answer is B. The global object is the standard identifier for the top-level scope in Node.js. Window and self are browser-specific, and root is not a valid global object in the Node.js runtime. What is the difference between .replace, a B, and .replaceAll, a B? String manipulation is a core task in JavaScript. Historically, the .replace method was the primary way to swap characters or substrings. However, .replace has a specific limitation. When passed a string as the first argument, it only targets the first occurrence it finds. To replace every instance of a substring without resorting to complex regular expressions with the global flag /G, ECMAScript 2021 introduced .replaceAll. This method is designed to be more intuitive and readable for bulk string updates. Possible answers are: A. There is no difference. B. Dot replace only replaces the first instance. Dot replace all replaces all instances. D. Dot replace is deprecated. The answer is B. Dot replace all explicitly iterates through the entire string to swap all matches, whereas dot replace stops after the first match. The other options are incorrect because dot replace remains a standard, supported method, and dot replace all works perfectly with simple strings. In a regular function call, e.g., func, what does this point to in non-strict mode? The this keyword in JavaScript is dynamic, meaning its value depends on how a function is invoked rather than where it is defined. In non-strict mode, when you call a regular function as a standalone invocation, not as a method of an object or a constructor, JavaScript defaults the this context to the global object. This is a legacy behavior designed to maintain backward compatibility with older scripts. Note: in strict mode, use strict winky face. This behavior changes, and this will be undefined instead of the global object to prevent accidental pollution of the global namespace. The options are: A. The function itself. B. The global object, Windows/global. C. Undefined. D. Null. The answer is B. In non-strict mode, the engine defaults the execution context to the global object. It is not undefined, which only occurs in strict mode and does not refer to the function itself or null. Thanks for watching. With TestMole.com, you get everything in one place, from easy candidate invites and role-based access, to deep analytics and built-in anti-cheat mechanics. We'll assess code answers, free text responses, and issue verified certificates. Ready to simplify your hiring? Give TestMole a try. And one more thing. If you like this video and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe.